Ali Abdaal is a leading expert in the field of productivity, a retired doctor, successful entrepreneur, YouTuber, and most recently, the author of a book I've just finished reading called Feel Good Productivity. The book isn't just about how to be productive. What I really liked about it is that it's more of a book on how to enjoy building a life that you desire while still accomplishing all the goals that you've set for yourself. In fact, I enjoyed the book so much that in today's video, I'll be sharing 7 of my favorite lessons that I've took away from the book that you can start applying to your own daily lives. Hey, what's up you guys? My name's Christian. I'm a certified occupational therapist and my job is to help people live independent and fulfilling lives. On this channel, we discuss real life lessons that can help you level up in the game of life. Lesson 1 of 7. Approach life with a sense of play. Now let me elaborate a little bit because I don't necessarily mean that you should live life kind of messing around all the time, playing and never get anything done. A huge part of the book argues that sometimes being productive isn't just focusing, being serious all the time and grinding away. Sometimes to be more productive, you have to enjoy doing what you're doing. And in fact, I already applied this concept to my life way before I actually read this book. Now for context, I work as an occupational therapist in the rehab department and we're under a lot of stress to be productive, to actually do a lot to help our patients and do as much as we can. But what I often find through 5 years of experience in the field is that sometimes when I'm having fun with a patient, when I'm playing with them, just kind of messing around, having a good time, there's a lot better outcomes in the patient. They feel a lot better, we get a lot more done, they feel more motivated, that it's just so much more productive than just kind of sitting down with a patient like, hey, we only have 40 minutes together, we have to do 4 or 5 of these exercises and we have to make them perfect. Instead, I'll be like, let's just do 1 or 2 things, have fun with it, we laugh, we kind of chat, get to know each other, and the time spent there is so much more productive. So to really bring it back to my point, sometimes being productive isn't about getting as much stuff done as possible. Instead, you want to have fun while you're doing this. You don't want to be too serious about life. So the book kind of gives some examples. If you're doing something that's a little more boring, that's something that you don't really like doing and you're kind of getting a little grumpy about it, you want to try to make it a little bit more fun. Can you listen to music while you're doing it? Can you do it in a different place? Maybe go to a cafe or go outdoors on the park to get your work done. Whatever it is, you have to be creative because if you don't find the fun in what you're doing and you're just grinding away all the time, you will burn out eventually. Lesson number 2 is to take ownership for your actions. Now the book argues that a huge energizer for us as human beings is having control over our situations. When we don't have any control, for example, if you're working a job and you're being micromanaged, you're forced to do all these kind of things, you can get drained very, very quickly. So by accepting ownership, by taking control of things, you will be a lot more energized and hence be a lot more productive. It is understandable that you don't really have control over everything. Sometimes we just have to put our noses to the grindstone and do what we gotta do. That doesn't mean we can't control how we approach a situation. And this is extremely important. This is more of a mindset thing, right? Because imagine this scenario. If there's something really difficult that has to be done, you can approach it in a way where you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm forced to do it. This really sucks. And you're just gonna go into it so drained already. Instead, you can approach it in a way where you say like, you know what? I have to do this and I'm glad to be here. I'm grateful to have this job. I'm grateful that I have to do this task. I'm gonna do my best to make sure I get it out of the way. Just by approaching it with a more of a positive mindset, by actually taking ownership, like I'm choosing to do this instead of I'm being forced to do this, is going to make a huge difference to your productivity and how you feel towards the actual task itself. Lesson number 3 is don't force yourself to be motivated. Find out the cause of why you're unmotivated. Now, a lot of us suffer from something called procrastination, me instead, and it is something that is so difficult to overcome. And whenever we tend to procrastinate, the general advice is that we should just push our way through, try to make sure that we don't procrastinate next time, understand that, we have to do what we gotta do, ignore our feelings, screw our feelings. I don't agree with that advice, right? And the book argues that as well. And I know this contradicts the general advice of what it means to be productive, but I think this is really important. If you're procrastinating, you need to understand why you're procrastinating. Are you too tired? Maybe you don't have enough time? Are you just simply unmotivated? Are you chasing the wrong goals? Like once you understand your why, then you can start positioning on the what's. What are you going to do to actually solve that? And when are you going to do it so you can actually start taking action? But it starts by the why, because a lot of people push past the why and they start thinking about what they have to do to start being motivated again. And when they start doing that, if you don't have a strong why, you're just gonna lapse back again. You're gonna go back to being unproductive, starting to procrastinate because you didn't really have a clear idea on why exactly were you unmotivated. You need to seek clarity. And that's actually the chapter of the book, chapter 4. It's about seeking clarity, understanding why you're doing what you're doing, because that's gonna make sure that you follow through with your actions. Lesson number 4, success isn't about how often you fail, it's about how you frame your failures. Now, I think this is a really cool lesson because oftentimes a lot of people give the advice that in order to succeed, you have to be willing to fail a lot. But what they often miss is that how you frame those failures, how you react to those failures is just as important. Now, for many people are very afraid of failure, right? There's some sort of fear there, and when we dig into it a little bit more, people fear failure because they often feel that they let themselves down, they feel that other people are judging them, but at the end of the day, the book really points out that nobody really cares about us. It's a little sad to think about, but to be honest, everyone is way too busy worrying about themselves that they don't have time to worry about you. So whenever you're doing something, nobody is really judging you, so you don't really have to fear how people are looking at you. The only fear you need to overcome is the fear of failure itself, fear of how you reacted to that failure. Because the one thing that you need to understand is that in life, failure is inevitable. Because no matter how perfect you plan things out, no matter how productive you think you're going to be, you will fail eventually. But when you fail, how do you react to it? Are you going to be really harsh on yourself? Like, my goodness, I can't believe I wasn't productive, I can't believe I failed, I can't believe I didn't follow through. You're just beating yourself up. Instead, how you want to approach it is like, oh my goodness, I failed, I guess that didn't work, let's try things a little differently this time. You want to be a little easier on yourself because failure is simply a lesson. Whenever you learn from it, it isn't really a failure. We need to reframe our mind. Failure isn't losing. Failure is simply an alternative to winning. Because when you fail, you learn how to do things better. When you don't fail, you are doing things better. So either ways, you're going upwards, right? But people let failure take them down so much and it stops them from being productive. Like, how many times have we said like, oh, I want to go to the gym, and then you miss a day or two and you're like, goodness, I fail, I guess I'll never be healthy. But that isn't how it works. I mean, if you failed doing those things, then just understand what was the blocker right there and try to solve it, because now you have another extra puzzle piece. And really, this is how I approach life, right? I just try a bunch of things and I'm willing to fail, because when I fail, I know the next questions to ask, I know the next steps to take. You know, what do I need to seek a little bit more so I'm successful in the future? But the only way that that can happen, and the only way that you can actually move forward, is by being willing to fail first and not being afraid of doing so. Now, if you're enjoying the video up to this point, go ahead and smash the like button. It's the easiest way you can tell me that you like this kind of content. That way I know what to research on, what to cover in the future. And again, thank you so much for watching these kind of videos. Lesson number 5, it's easy to stay stopped if you aren't moving, and it's easy to keep moving if you are moving. Now, this was from a chapter called Inertia, which is basically about momentum. When you start doing something, once you get the ball rolling, it's very, very easy to keep on going. So when it comes to productivity, when you're actually starting to do something, it's very easy to keep doing that thing. But getting started is the most difficult thing. And the book really argues that the most effective way to deal with this is by reducing your environmental friction. Now, what this means is that if you're really struggling to do something, you want to set things up in your environment in a way that is very, very easy to start doing a task. An example that the book gave is like, say you want to learn how to play guitar. So instead of leaving the guitar in the corner of a room, or maybe, you know, somewhere else that is very, very difficult, in a case or something that you have to take it out, maybe just take out the guitar and put it right in front on the television, right in front of your table, right next to your bed. Because that way, every time that you pass by the guitar, it is right there. And you tell yourself like, hey, let me just try playing for 5 minutes. And guess what? Once you start playing 5 minutes, it's very, very easy to start playing the next 5 and the next 5 and the next 5. The problem there is getting started. So always remember, if you have trouble getting started with something, you just need to do that one little thing, and that's going to help you build a little bit more momentum so you can start doing the next task. Lesson number 6 is that it's alright to do nothing. Now, I really like this one because I feel that people are a little too serious. This kind of ties with the first point again, that people are way too serious in the game of life, that we constantly feel we gotta hustle and continue and do more and more and more. But what eventually happens is that people burn out. And there are really 3 types of burnouts according to the book, which is overexertion burnouts, depletion burnouts, and finally alignment burnout. We'll cover that in the last lesson. But overexertion and depletion simply means you're either doing too much or you ran out of energy. So what is the solution to that? It's really to start doing nothing, to rest.
I'm taking a nap here.
Remember, you are not a machine, you're only a human being. In the hustle culture nowadays, right, and everyone's so stressed about constantly having to do stuff, to do more, to make more money, that we often get swept up in this wave where we just feel that we just need to push and push and push until we break. We need to give ourselves time to just do nothing sometimes. And I really try to apply this in my life because I'm constantly under the pressure that I need to do more, I need to make more, and sometimes I'm just so tired that I just want to sit down and play video games. And a part of me feels guilty, right? It feels guilty like, why am I slacking off? You know, I shouldn't be playing video games right now. I should probably be working, you know, working on these videos, doing something else. It's okay. It's okay to sometimes just not be productive just so you can recover your energy. And for the majority of people, you need a lot more rest than you think you do. And there's been plenty of research done on this, is that sometimes just working for a long period of time doesn't mean you're going to get a lot done. It isn't really a new concept. You need significant amount of rest in order to function at your best. But the caveat here is that when you're resting, it has to be very intentional. And the problem with everyday life right now is that there are a lot of distractions in the world. Even for me, how often have we taken out our phone and started swiping away and we get stuck in that, and it's like an hour, 2 hours went by and we don't really feel rested. We feel more tired because we feel like we wasted time. Rest should be intentional. Even if you're doing nothing, it should be intentional, because now when you're resting, you have scheduled that time to rest. You have decided like, all right, I'm really tired right now, so I'm going to rest because I want to rest and I want to recover. The problem is that when you rest without actually planning to rest, you feel more drained. You want to make sure that after you rest, whatever you did, when you come back the next day, you're already energized to keep going at it again. And this is extremely important. One of my favorite quotes from the book is that by doing less today, we can do more of what matters tomorrow. So you want to remember that you only have so much energy in a day. You want to conserve it and use it appropriately and make sure you recharge yourself so you can perform at your best self. Lastly, lesson 7 is to align your actions with your goals. And this is about goals. Productivity and goals go hand in hand. You need to make sure that whatever you're doing, because remember again, you only have so much energy to actually use towards accomplishing your task. So you cannot be chasing a bunch of things, and most importantly, you shouldn't be chasing things that don't align with your goal. That's how people get really burnout. In fact, the book calls it misalignment burnout. It's when you're pursuing goals that don't really align with what you want to accomplish. Like say you're someone who really treasures relationships, but you're spending all your time not focusing on relationships. 100% you're gonna feel burnout eventually. What the book really states is that you need to have a very clear long-term, medium-term, and short-term goal. I'm not gonna go too in-depth with it, but the whole concept here is that you need to make sure that at the end of your journey, which is at the end of that life, don't mean to be too grim here, you need to realize what exactly are you trying to accomplish. And once you figure that out, you can start laying down the groundwork by filtering down like, alright, if this is my long-term goal, then the medium term, what I need to accomplish, and then the short term, what I need to accomplish. And a really great thing that the book actually gave you is something called the Wheel of Life, and they separate it out into 3 different sections, which is going to be your health, your career, and I believe it's your relationships. And you want to at least have a short-term goal in these 3 different areas. So every single day, as long as you're making progress towards the goals in these 3 different sectors, just pick one on each right here, you're going to do fine. So for example, say in the health category, I'm focusing on my body and I want to be, a little more healthier. So I can just say like, I want to go to the gym for 30 minutes a day. Whatever it is, as long as I accomplish that goal, I've taken care of that. And that's of course provided that being healthy, being fit is one of my goals that I tend to align with. And then you can go on to relationships and career as well. Like, are you trying to grow in a specific area in your career? Are you trying to make more money? So you need to make sure that the actions that you're doing, whatever energy that you have, you're being productive towards pursuing that goals. Because when you do that, you're going to feel a lot more productive. Whereas if you're just doing things for the sake of doing things, then 100% you're going to get burnout eventually. So make sure align your goals with your actions, and that's how you're going to live a more fulfilling and productive life. Now, if you enjoyed all the 7 lessons, go ahead and check out the full book. It's called Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal. I'll leave the link down below to the Amazon link. And thank you so much for watching the video all the way through. And if you enjoyed this kind of videos, go ahead and check out this video over here where I covered atomic habits and the 7 lessons that I've learned in 7 minutes. So that's about it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Peace.